All right, cheers. Drink up, bitches. Woo! Here we go. Woo! We are in the podcast lounge.
Cheers.
Yay!
Okay, missed you. Oh, I forgot. We always do. We have a thing that we didn't do. Whenever you do a shot, you're supposed to look at someone with crazy eyes.
Oh, yeah, crazy.
And you have to
We
make
forgot
eye
the crazy
contact.
eyes. There's a lot of crazy eyes
No,
in this
show.
room.
You do this. There.
We did crazy eyes.
Yeah, or else it's bad luck.
We have so many people in the podcast lounge. Oh, hold on. They're all done with their shot. Mm-hmm. Excuse me while I stop talking. I know you guys aren't used to that, but.
All right, I'm ready.
We just did a shot of rum chata.
Oh, my gosh. Good.
Courtesy of one of our special guests. We have a couple special guests in the lounge today. I'm super excited. Excuse me while I swallow my rum chata. As I smack my lips in your ears. Today we are super excited. Yes. We have a famous author.
Bona fide author.
Famous author.
Published author in the house.
Author.
And another realtor extraordinaire, too. So we got a couple of experts in the house.
Yes.
We have Jenn Carpenter right here. And she wrote a local book. It's called Haunted Lansing. And I cannot wait to dig into it with her and hear some of her stories and talk about her life and some of the things she does. She also does haunted tours. Yes. And so we are in for a big treat today. Yes. And then we also have Dani Fairman. Hi, Dani.
Hi.
Dani, I'm so excited. If you've listened to the podcast before, you may know that Ashley's was filming a movie. Mm-hmm. You may have heard us mention, you may have heard Monica mention maybe once or twice that we were extras in it.
Twice 20, who counts, really?
And Dani's husband is the producer, director, writer. Director Dave.
That's it.
And so we met Dani through Ashley. Well, Monica and I met Dani through Ashley. Ashley already knew her. And then she introduced
you still
us to
met her
Jenn.
through Ashley.
Yeah, you still, yeah.
So. Well, when I said we, they don't know who I'm talking about.
Oh, true.
Oh, that's true. We're just pointing in a...
Yeah.
We're pointing here.
Pointing with
They
the microphone.
Can't see us.
Okay, that's right.
Oh, my gosh. Dani brought us rum chata, so we just did a nice, yummy shot of that.
Thank you, Dani.
To kind of
Delicious.
start us off. Thank you so much. That was really nice. Funny story. She comes to the door, and she says to Monica, she says, I just saw you at Kroger. You were walking out when I was walking in.
Yeah. I was doing emergency last stop snacks and raspberries.
Yeah.
So.
Raspberries for our cocktail of the day.
Yes.
Drum roll. It's called a Demented Mittentini. Woo! We muddled up some raspberries in the bottom, so it gives it kind of a bloody, congealed look in the bottom.
My favorite.
And there,
I go for that bloody concealed look all the time. I love that.
And for our main base, I found this Ghost Vodka Black, and it's made in near Detroit. So I was at, where was I?
Mega Bev. Our favorite store, next to the Halloween stores.
Yeah. So I was just perusing. I'm always looking for some fun, different drinks there, and I thought this caught my eye because when we have John and Dani on, we got to have the Ghost Vodka.
Yes.
So we've got that mixed with some raspberry lemonade. As I said, the raspberries muddled up in the bottom, a little bit of triple sec to give it some sweetness, and then some club soda to give it some bubbly. Lime, squeezed lime in it, garnished with a lime wheel, and of course, in my favorite, a martini glass.
Yes.
So, gotta call it a martini or Mittentini, even though I know like it's, whatever. Anything in a martini glass is a martini.
Exactly.
So. And we called it Demented Mittentini because Jenn runs these tours called Demented Mitten Tours.
Yes,
Yay.
I do.
Yeah.
And
This is just... We're totally fan geeking with you here today because we are so excited about
You're
this.
so funny.
Yeah. So if you're not from Michigan, we have listeners all over the world.
We have people from India.
Yes.
Well, hey.
We're up to like 8 in India. We're rocking India.
Nice.
I'm just telling you
They
that.
love us there.
Hello.
We're big.
India.
We're a big deal there.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
The podcast lounge smells like a rich mahogany. The Michigan is called the Mitten State, so I imagine that's where the name came from. I'm just guessing.
That is where it came from.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Well, tell us all about it.
Can I dig right in?
dig right in?
Okay.
Monica.
Oh my God. So I'm holding in my hand Jenn Carpenter's book, Haunted Lansing. These are, I thought, I know most of this stuff. I'll just flip through. Oh my God, I knew none of this.
No?
And it is so exciting. And then one of the homes, one of the first ones you talk about is the Turner Dodge Mansion
Yes.
and how it's haunted. I'm like, I'd never really thought, because I've been to numerous events there, but one time I was in a room by myself for some reason, and all of a sudden I just started like feeling weird. I'm like, I just need to get outside and get some air, and then I read your story. I'm like, okay, that kind of validates something is going on in that house.
Yeah, absolutely. I think any house where there's just a ton of history, there's, people are attached, and the whole story in Haunted Lansing is about Marion Turner primarily.
Yeah.
And her attachment to the property and the home. She lived there for her entire life. So,
And then even in death, remember the days they used to lay him out at home?
almost everyone from the Turner and Dodge families up through the 1950s, they were laid out in the home after they died.
Even the 1950s?
Yes.
Seems so
We believe the last one was 1953.
Wow. Are you allowed to do that nowadays?
I'm sure not.
Without an arrest warrant?
I mean, not themselves. I think, many of them died in the...
It's a family project. Come on, kids. We're going to involve grandma.
Many of them died in the home. But, 1920s, 1930s, when they got sick, they would start going to hospitals. So then they would, do the whole thing at the hospital and bring them back to the house. I don't know what they did with the ones that actually died in the house.
I don't know. As soon as I read that, that's in my mind now. I'm like, I'm going to have to get to the bottom of this.
And we talked about the Turner Dodge house in one of our episodes. We were just chatting about it. I've never been there, so now I really want to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love the book. I love how it starts out. It tells a story. It's not just like, oh, here's a scary ghost story and here's another scary. It's like it's telling a tale of Lansing and
with
Lansing's
facts
history.
and because I said every time I look at it, I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
And that's weird for Monica just to admit she doesn't know something.
Exactly. Darn it, she's on to me. But it was so fun. That was the first one that got me. And then, they seem to get some are creepier than the others. But one of the stories in your book that I loved was the one about the House of Seven Gables. Was that the name of it?
Yes, the Seven Gables Curse.
That's it. Yes, it's cursed.
So I ghost hunted there myself maybe 8 to 10 years ago. And I just went there with a couple of friends, and we walked around, and I felt things, but I didn't see or hear, but I want to know, like, do you think is that really like one of the most haunted places in the area? Like,
For sure.
I haven't read that passage yet, but
So there's really nothing to the urban legends at Seven Gables, but there's something to Seven Gables for sure.
Oh, wow.
Of all of the places that we go on the tours, that is my absolute least favorite place to go.
your least favorite.
Least favorite.
Because you have to, on the tour, you have to get off the bus and stand there and explain. And you've had your hair pulled, right?
I've had my hair pulled. I've been pinched. And then there are real world things that have happened. One time I was leaning up against the gate, the famous gate of Seven Gables. And I was talking, and a younger girl that was with the group raised her hand, and I said yes. And she goes, "Why is there blood everywhere?" And there was blood all over the gate and all over the ground. We assume, because it's hunting grounds, it's state game land, that someone shot an animal. We hope. I mean, we didn't DNA test it or anything.
So at first when you said that, I thought you meant only she could see it. Like in it.
Like dripping out of the windows or something. Yeah.
No, it was really there.
she's like, no,
Real
I'm
blood.
leaning up against this blood.
There's sticky blood here.
Yep.
Oh
And
my
then we've
gosh.
had coyotes, like entire packs of them real close by when we're out there.
So I
and-
did have a pack of coyotes following me, and that is the only reason I left. Not because I didn't even get to where I wanted to go. I could just hear them getting closer and closer and closer, and I was like,
Isn't
maybe
that
not,
an
maybe
ancient
not.
Native American thing with the coyotes? Oh, don't. You know what? I heard it on Ghost Adventures, so it's probably not true.
that's a possibility.
It's a made up story.
Just for them.
But many of the mediums that we've taken out there have said that they believe that whatever it is it's very ancient. It's very of the earth and very natural. It's not demonic. It's not a family that was murdered or a witch that was murdered or any of those stories that you hear. It's very
So it really won't do harm, but you don't want to push it.
right.
Okay.
Right.
So you the legend about you don't want to be the last one to jump over the gate is
We have lost nobody yet.
You've lost no one.
Right.
Fantastic.
And
Wonderful.
we're in our
Melanie.
third season. So
if you're the last person to jump over the fence, is it
On the
after
way
you hear the
out.
scream?
if you hear a woman scream, the last person back over the gate will be dead within 3 days.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
just don't even go over the gate.
I didn't go over the gate.
I don't think
I usually do not.
you have though.
I have. I'm a good mom. So a couple times when my kids have come on the tours, I go. So if somebody's going, we're all going together.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah. So I don't have to run fast, just like faster than Monica so I can trip her.
Exactly.
Well, I'd probably knock you down or climb on you
No.
to get over the.
Oh, just real quick, and we just jumped right in. We didn't introduce ourselves. I'm Melanie.
Oh, and I'm Monica.
And I'm Ashley.
And Dani again.
I'm Dani.
And I'm Jen.
And
Jen.
just so you can hear our voices, because I know it gets confusing after,
Yeah.
especially now that there's 5 of us in the lounge today.
And alcohol. Bloody fun mix.
It's bloody fun. I do like this is like congealed raspberry.
It looks
like
awesome.
blood.
That's very cool.
This is awesome.
Okay. I have so many questions for you.
Yes, more questions.
When did you first decide that this was, is it a calling? I mean, if it's something that you like doing so much, it's got to be almost like a calling.
I feel like it is now, which is really strange because it's just been a very strange journey.
Yeah.
I've always been a writer. I've always been really into true crime and the paranormal. You know, when you grow up watching Rescue 911 and Unsolved Mysteries, like
You're
those are
speaking
the
my
jams.
language.
Unsolved Mysteries with
I
Robert
mean,
Stack.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always loved that kind of stuff, but never really thought of it as something I would be doing
Yeah.
as a business or writing about in books or any of that. So it's just really strange how it's all come together.
You know,
Well, that's fantastic because they say, find your passion
Yeah.
and figure out a way to make a living
Yeah.
from it. And it looks like you've done just that.
I don't know about a living.
Oh, yeah, you
but
said you have a day
I'm having
job.
fun. I do
We're
have a
getting
day
there.
job.
and the thing that I want to stress too is the book, by the way, it's called Haunted Lansing. And it's one of those books that's such a fun read that you don't even have to live in Michigan to enjoy this book. I mean, it
good.
is
Right.
so cool.
Thanks.
I'm just a little beyond halfway, and it's like I keep flipping. It's like I want to just finish this page, but it's really good.
Thank you.
So, okay, so you've done a lot of the haunted tours.
Yes.
And obviously, what is the scariest thing, the single scariest thing that almost made you go, I am not sure if I want to do this anymore?
You know, I'm pretty skeptical,
Uh-huh.
which is funny to say.
No.
But I think that that's what adds credence to some of it is
Yes.
because I'm really skeptical.
Yeah.
So I've had some people freak themselves out quite a bit.
That would be me. Something touched me. It's a spider web.
But so really when I try to think of things, really unpleasant things or really scary things, they're not paranormal. They're real things that have happened because we're going to real places.
Yeah.
We're going to real parks, in downtown Lansing. And we're going to the woods where there's coyotes. And those are the things that scare me the most. But of a paranormal nature, I would have to say we visit a site in Williamston where a woman beheaded her mother-in-law in the 1800s. There's a book about it. It's called To Hell I Must Go by Rod Sadler. And so I just kind of brush over what happened because he wrote the book on it.
Right.
But in the book, I talk more about our experiences going there as part of a tour. It's just an empty field where there used to be a house, and she is probably the most active spirit we've encountered, where we've had things happen almost every time we go that you can't just explain away.
Not harmful, right? Just kind of enough
No,
to spook
she's
you. Kind of like
crazy.
to well,
She's crazy. I don't think that she's evil. She had mental illness in real life. She was very lonely, and so she likes the company. She likes that we're taking people out there and kind of I've noticed the more we go, the stronger she seems to get. And she's very interactive.
It's one of these days she may not want you to leave.
That's true.
now, does she,
come
will
with
she,
us.
do you think, I mean, from what you've studied and read and heard and seen, does a spirit like that pretty much stay there or?
She does.
Okay.
She's very...
Are they somehow bound to the land?
I don't know. I know that when we first started going out there, the first year that we did the tours, we had a wonderful medium coming with us. Her name's Kat Ryan. She still comes from time to time. She's coming on one this fall. And she would, every time we would go, she would have to do, I don't know what the technical word for it is, but basically tell Martha, no, you can't come with me. You have to stay here.
Yes.
Oh.
And you can't come back on the bus with us.
Interesting.
Yeah, because wouldn't you haunt Disney World or something like a place that's fun? If you had the choice.
Like
I
a
think for
distillery
her-
I
or
would be
a wine
It's
place.
a small world.
My
for
understanding of Martha is that she's so proud of what she did, that's her
Like
battleground.
Lizzie Borden.
That's what she's called, Michigan's Lizzie Borden.
Because they've turned that into a bed and breakfast or something. Yeah, how freaky is that?
You know,
So
they
I
burned
showed
the
a
house in
house.
Williamston down.
I showed a house like right next to that field, maybe a month after I took your tour.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I was so creeped out.
Were you?
The house was like in shambles anyway, and it was like
Oh,
an
yeah.
old Victorian house. And the whole time I'm like, thank God these clients are really cool, because I was telling them all about the tour.
Were
And
you?
they're like, so can we come with you the next time? I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Did they buy the house?
No.
Okay,
They
okay.
they were a little spooked from it.
Oh.
The house itself
job.
was just kind
Good
of creepy. I
job.
know. I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah, way
I'm
to sell it,
such a
Dani.
salesperson.
Let me tell you all the crazy, scary, bad things about this
Nobody
house.
really wants to move near a murder house or murder site. So
is this field like just an
Absolutely.
open field? Like it's not.
It is an open
it's
field.
not trespassing if I were to
No.
walk on it. Okay.
Well, it's owned by somebody.
Well,
When
I'm
we
sure
first
it is,
started
but-
taking it's owned by the city.
Right.
And so like the high school builds or used to build their floats there for homecoming. It's just an open little field right off the railroad tracks down a dirt road.
Her
So
name's Martha.
Martha Haney.
Okay.
ooh,
And
that
her-
is.
So, would you say her
Interesting.
husband beheaded her?
No.
No.
She beheaded her mother-in-law.
Oh, right. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's
Sorry,
why
I
she's
got
so
And
proud
then
of
she
herself.
put it on her husband's dinner platter on the kitchen
Oh,
table
you left
with a
that part
knife and a
out.
fork on
Classic.
either side for him to find when he came home for
That's
lunch.
a classic move.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what happened to her then?
She was taken to jail.
Okay.
She very
Shocker.
quickly deteriorated once she was in jail.
Yeah.
She had seizures. She would become comatose. She would injure herself. She went on a hunger strike. She stopped speaking. So she wound up in the asylum in Ionia, and she died about a year later. She had tuberculosis.
Wow.
So she was very
she didn't
sick.
die on the property, but she
No,
went
no,
back.
she
came
went back.
Interesting.
That is
Nice.
amazing. So how did you get the idea to start the Mitten Tours?
tours?
Yeah.
That's a funny story, and it all kind of full circles with my love for true crime and all of that. This might be really weird to say, but I have a favorite serial killer.
No,
Sure.
I think we all do.
Not in this room. we like that kind of thing.
So H.H. Holmes is my favorite serial
Oh,
killer.
yes.
Are you excited for the movie?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
I
great.
am.
Wait,
Let
who
you
is that?
continue.
He
Ooh.
is. H.H. Holmes is the serial killer.
Yeah.
He's
yeah,
America's first serial killer. They believe he killed about 200 people during the Chicago World's Fair.
What?
So he built. This is why he's my favorite.
Yeah. I love it.
He
this story,
built
too.
a murder castle. It was a giant building in downtown Chicago that he built for the sole purpose of torturing, killing, and dismembering. Gas chambers, soundproof vaults, mazes, trap doors, spy holes, all of it.
How did he get people in?
He was handsome. Leonardo DiCaprio is playing
He's
him
playing
in the
him.
movie.
That's why I had the
Is
movie.
he really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Scorsese, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's gonna be good.
Yes.
Monica, didn't you see that episode of Supernatural?
I did not.
You might have, but you might have not. Just
I haven't
realized.
watched them all. I'm sorry.
I'll send you some podcast
dare
links.
you.
There's some really good podcasts out there that like dissect like the entire
pun
Literally.
from start, like no pun
Okay.
intended, or maybe pun
Yeah.
intended,
Maybe.
from start to finish his reign of terror. So
So one of the places he used to get his victims was at a hotel in Chicago. He was all in Chicago.
Right.
Called the Congress Hotel. It's still a hotel today. I stayed in it. We stayed in their most haunted room, room 441, which is said to be the room that Stephen King based his short book in the movie Room 1408 on. His stay in that room. So we stayed there and went on a weird Chicago tour a couple years ago.
Oh my gosh.
sounds great.
So
I think we've just found our new best friend.
I think
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was a ton of fun. So it was just in researching hotels to stay in when we were going that I was like, okay, this hotel's real cheap, and I don't know why, because it looks real nice, and maybe it's just in a really bad neighborhood. And I went to research that hotel specifically. And you type in the Congress Hotel on Google, and the first thing you get, the Congress Hotel haunted, the Congress Hotel room 666, which does not exist, the Congress Hotel Stephen King, and all
Yeah.
of this stuff. And I was like, what? is happening? So we decided not to stay there the first time we went, but through them I found out about Weird Chicago Tours because that's one of their stops.
Yeah.
And so we did it. It was a fun thing, you know, cool. Came home, moved on with our lives. And then that summer, my son had a baseball game out in Bath, and we were sitting in the car in between the games, and I was like, you know what happened here a really long time ago?
Yes. Right.
And I started talking about the Bath School Massacre, and he said, wow, you know, somebody could do one of those Weird Chicago tours about
Bing,
this.
light bulb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
That's great.
Or as Oprah would say, your aha moment.
Yes. That's
The mighty
that's
O.
what it was.
So do you give all your proceeds to him then?
I mean, in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
He has a home and clothes and
Yeah. He's allowed to stay there.
right. And he's 19 now, so that's not legally required of me anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
He's just damn lucky.
yeah.
That is so cool. One of the other things as I was reading your book is I had never, and I've lived here in this area since I was 19. I had never heard of the Kearns Hotel.
No, me neither.
And that fire, I'm
Monica,
like, what?
Me neither. So someone on a tour mentioned to me, because I was trying to put together a new route, so I wanted to find somewhere in DeWitt. Still haven't found a place in DeWitt, so if anyone's listening, see, I need to know about them. And someone was like, well, you know, the entire downtown burned down in like the 30s. And I was like, no, I didn't know that. And so I was trying to look that up. And because the time frame was the same, and I typed in downtown fire 1930s DeWitt, it pulled up the Kearns Hotel, and I was like, what? I had no idea. So it was a hotel in downtown Lansing. It's directly across the street from where the Radisson is now. Very popular with state legislators because it was so close to the Capitol. Very nice place. 4 stories.
And it was right on the river.
Middle of winter. There were 211 guests, so it was almost sold out. Legislature had just opened at the Capitol, so there were tons of politicians staying there. And at about 5:30 in the morning, people started seeing flames. Someone had flicked a cigarette outside the building, caught it on fire. There were fire escapes on one side of the building only. The other side butted up to another hotel, and there was nothing on the back, nothing on the front. So people began jumping from the windows, some into the river, some onto the pavement out front.
Neither with a very good outcome.
No.
It's like, do you freeze to death or do you break your bones? Yeah.
Yeah. So 34 people died. It's Lansing's greatest loss of life disaster to date.
Oh, man.
That's something I'd never heard
idea.
of it.
Yeah, no, I hadn't either.
There's a whole book on it, too.
And don't you have a story about that, Dani?
Well, the building right next door,
Yes.
which is currently the Accident Fund building, used to be the Board of Water and Light building. And I worked at Accident Fund for quite a while. And there was a time where I worked overnights. And the room I worked in, it was very secure. You had to like double badge yourself to get in, double scan. And I was there, it was like 3 a.m, which, by the way, they say 3 o'clock
Yes.
is like the
dead hour
time.
Yeah.
And
wait a minute. So you're at 3 a.m. How much are they paying you? Not
Yeah,
much.
not
enough for 3 a.m.
I don't work there anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was another room where they printed all the checks, and there was a window in the door, so you could see if somebody was in there. And I saw a shadow go by, but nobody should have been. I was literally the only person in this building, which, by the way, has the longest hallways, and they're so creepy. And then I felt like a wisp through the air, and I could smell like, the only way I can describe it is like a flowery shampoo. You know how if you shampoo with a very flowery, that's what I smelled. And I was looking around like, who is this? And I saw a shadow. I went out there, looked, nothing. I asked to see the security tape back, and it doesn't even show me getting up and looking. It's the weirdest thing. That, it just, at that moment, I was like, I think I'm done working this shift.
That's creepy.
If a haunting or something creepy like that happens and I have somebody to share it with, it might be different. But when you're by yourself, you don't know what can happen.
No.
Now, at this point, had you heard the rumors about it being haunted, or
Yeah,
that was after? Okay.
There had been rumors of seeing other people walk through. There was a death during construction. There were rumors of that. You know, just different things. You see shadows. And when you see shadows, I feel like that's kind of, it could be my eyes playing tricks.
Yes.
It is 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm tired. But that was my, noon. So everybody else is sleeping. So yeah, it's late. But to me, that's noon.
Right.
Because
so
that's
you
the middle of
worked
my day.
regularly overnights.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was done with that shift after that week, though. It's like,
Alone in that. Yeah.
alone. I know. I was a fool.
That's
Oh
just
my
crazy.
gosh.
But you've got a good story.
I got a great
You got a
story
great
out of that,
story,
right?
and that's
Credit
the
for
most
that,
important thing. Yeah. I love all this stuff. I'm excited. I'm like, oh, it'd be so fun to go in a haunted house. Wait, no, I don't want to experience it. I just want to hear about it.
Just want to hear about it.
But I do
tales.
want to do the tour. But
Yes.
I'm gonna be freaking out on I don't want my hair pulled.
Yeah.
See, I'm like Jen though, because I'm really open to everything, but I'm skeptical because nothing has specifically directly happened to me, and I want
Okay,
something
wait
to happen to
a
me.
minute.
I'll come over there and pull your
happened
hair
to
if you
you?
want.
Nothing that crazy. I know the one thing you're talking about, but to me that's just like, I don't know. It could be something, it couldn't be, but a lot of it has been like my sister or around me. And
Oh, yeah,
But that didn't happen to
handprint.
me.
Oh my gosh,
It didn't happen to me.
But you brought the entity home.
I
with you.
did. It was my fault. But
And if you don't know
Wait,
what we're talking about, we're
what?
gonna have to go back to one of our. I can't remember what episode you.
It's an early episode.
It was an earlier one.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it was one of the ones we were talking about, Ouija board, and Ashley was doing the Ouija up north. And
Monica does not like Ouija boards.
I don't
What
mess
is
with the Ouija board.
you don't mess with them either?
Don't touch them.
Nope.
So I have in the
do
past,
not burn
haven't
them.
in years, but I had things happen after and they work. Whatever makes them work, whether it's my energy, other energies, I don't know what makes them work specifically, but they work really well for me. I I know, right? It's because I'm just like, no, I swear I don't, and I've had like I barely touch it, and it just works really well for me. I'll have different people sit down with me, like, and it just, whatever it is, it likes me, and then it follows me home later.
Yeah.
Then I have to ask it to leave. Like it happened a few times, and then I never did it again. But I don't know. I just don't know.
Then I stopped.
Yeah.
I would. The hint of it, I'd be like, done.
The first time I didn't believe. I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. And then the second time, I was like, and then that third time with my sister, where it affected my sister, I was like, okay, I won't do it again.
So you should tell that story about your sister because it is really creepy.
So I'll do.
I mean,
Yeah, I'll
there's
do a
physical
quick
proof
little
on that.
Yeah, I'll
It's
do a
weird.
quick little story. So we had a Ouija board. I was using it at a friend's house, and we talked with a little girl.
She did air quotes, guys.
I mean, whatever it is. It said it was a little girl.
Is it?
It worked. It answered some questions. It was a chill night, I guess. Nothing crazy happened. It spoke a little bit, and that was it. Didn't think anything of it. Then a couple days later, I was at the movies, and my sister was home alone, and she texted me. I was during the previews, and she said, "Oh, I didn't know you'd be home so early." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Oh, I heard you walking around upstairs, and I hollered up to you, Ashley, and you said, yeah." And she's like, "So that's just why I didn't realize you'd be home so early." And I was like, "I'm not home. I'm at the movies." And so she walked upstairs, walked around. Actually, her boyfriend was with her, and they walked around. Nobody was home. I wasn't home. And she's like, "You answered." And I was like, "Well, it's not me." And then a couple days after that, she woke up, and it was in winter, and she had been sleeping in like a sweatshirt, and she like went to get in the shower, and she had this like red handprint that was like imprinted on her stomach. And it was like bright red, and she had kind of moved around slowly in the morning, so it had been there for at least like 20 minutes by the time she got to get in the shower. It was a proportional size handprint. We have pictures of this, and it was small, like a child's handprint.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. She tried to test it to see if she could like make her hand smaller to where she could have maybe laid on her hand, but it didn't make sense.
Was it like a bruise or a burn?
It was like a red. It was like somebody slapped her really hard on the stomach, and it stayed there. And she even took a shower, and it was still on there after the shower. It was still there. And she took pictures of it, and she compared it to her hand too, and it stayed there for a few hours, and eventually it went away. And so after that, I was like, well, I don't know how anything works, and I'm skeptical just as a person, but like it didn't affect me, so I was like, it would have been whatever, but because it was my sister, I felt guilty, so I never did anything with the Ouija board ever again.
And I saw the picture. It was real.
Wow.
Yeah,
It happened.
Okay,
So
that's creepy.
Ghosts are the creepiest too.
it's probably not a kid. That's the
ghost.
whole thing. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I have no idea.
could be.
I don't know. So that was my story and Ouija board story.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Okay, so anybody in this room grew up in a haunted house? Maybe you, Jen?
I didn't. I did not actually grow up in a haunted house, but we lived in one until we just moved less than a year ago, and we lived there for about 5 years. I would say I did not necessarily even believe in ghosts before we moved in, but we had things happen right away. Night one, things started happening. Night one was smoke detectors.
All going
Every
off.
smoke detector in the house went off.
Oh.
And I tried to reason it like, okay, but if
Yeah.
we put all the batteries in on the same day, then it's just a really strange coincidence that they're all
Yeah.
going off the night we moved in. So I replaced them all. The entire 5 years we lived there, we could not have a smoke detector in the master bedroom
'Cause it would go off.
keep going off.
Weird. Electrical
Wow.
surges.
Did you ever look in into the history of
Yes.
the house?
And I think that's a little bit how the book wound up the way it is. I really don't ever want anyone to read it and be disappointed that there's not enough of the ghost stories and that it's more historical. But that's because we never found a why.
Yeah.
We still have not found a why at that home. Just we know that there's something there. Yeah. A lot of something's there.
But it was never really harmed any of you?
No, we were never harmed. And we had several paranormal investigations and everyone was in agreement that, yes, they're here. Yes, there's a lot of activity. A couple of groups went as far as to say that it was the most haunted private residence they'd been in and that it had activity on the level of like historical sites where many people had died. But we just don't know. I mean, Grand Ledge has some strange history.
Sure.
So
That is amazing. You lived there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Stuff started right away. Got to give you kudos because I would have been hightailing it out there in under a week.
Yeah.
yeah, and we were renting, so we weren't attached even
my
necessarily.
gosh.
I'm
wow.
stubborn.
They're stubborn.
Well, I'll show you ghosts. Okay, from say Grand Ledge, Holt, Okemos, what do you find to be, if you had to like pick a community that has the most activity in certain areas that you've ever, investigated? Is there?
Dansville.
She just popped right out
She
with
knew.
that.
It's Dansville.
That was an interesting story
Dansville.
too. She does
It's
a
the whole
story.
city.
The whole city burned down like what? Twice?
Several times.
Several times. Yeah.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
And when you read her book, Haunted Lansing by Jenn Carpenter, again, highly recommending it. She does a section on the burning bed
Oh, yeah.
in Dansville because the house got burned down. And apparently there have been people who say that they hear the abuser. I can't even think of his name.
Mickey Hughes.
Yeah. They see him and hear his screams.
Oh.
I always joke when we're out there. It's not funny. There's nothing funny about the story, but I think that you have to add humor into what we
100%.
do, or everyone would go
Absolutely.
home crying.
Yeah.
So, the house is very. What was the house? It's just
Right.
an empty lot now. Only thing on it is a fire hydrant. Fun fact.
Funny.
It's very.
See,
near,
there is humor just built into
Yeah.
that. But
It's very near the bar, the Wooden Nickel, which is pretty
Yes.
much all downtown Dansville has
Yeah.
going on at night.
Yeah.
And so every time I say, people hear a man scream, you can hear men hollering and shouting. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
could just
Decide
be
for
from the
yourself.
Wooden Nickel,
Wooden,
wooden
I mean,
nickel.
people, the wooden
which has
nickel,
also
yeah.
burned down.
really?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
The whole town.
Yeah.
The whole downtown area
Yeah.
burned down on 3 or 4 separate occasions. Then there was the burning bed, which is, hugely famous
Yeah.
fire.
Yes.
And then the Wooden Nickel
Farrah
was the last.
Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett.
And
played
what was
Francine
interesting
Hughes.
too is some of the things that I like so much in your writings, you don't just tell the story, you tell how, okay, Dansville was a really prosperous town and there were all these different things and there was a lot of people who lived there and a lot of businesses and, the first fire took that all out and see, I have read your book.
Yeah, you have. Yes.
And it was amazing. Again, I never knew any of that.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
was the first county seat for Ingham County. And there are people that say that it was in the running to become the capital city. I mean, there were so many cities around the mid-Michigan area that wanted that spot.
Right.
There's still a governor's mansion in Marshall that never got used, which talk about a haunted city. That wasn't really close enough in your scope of cities you were naming off, but I either want to live in New Orleans or Marshall someday.
Marshall is very cool. I have been through Marshall a few times.
Yes.
Is it all of their old beautiful homes there that
Yes.
people just don't want to leave their beautiful homes
Yes.
when they
do a
move
tour
on?
of those homes
They
every year.
have a haunted tour there as well. I haven't been able to coordinate it because their busy season is my busy
Oh,
season.
exactly.
I was supposed to do it this summer, but they do theirs with horses.
That's
and
like New Orleans.
we had the hottest summer in the history of ever, so they canceled the day that we were supposed to go because it wasn't safe for the horses. But I'll make it work
Well,
next
Of course.
year.
Yeah.
We understand that.
But that, it's amazing there, and the people are so nice. So some friends and I went just to kind of scout it out one day before the tour, and before I stayed at the National House Inn, which is supposed to be one of the most haunted hotels in the country. And it was part of the Underground Railroad. And we would walk in these buildings and the people would just be like, "Hi, how you doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we're just looking around." They'd be like, "Well, let me tell you." And they were just so friendly, and they love the history and they love to share it. We got a private tour of a restaurant just because we walked in and we're like, "Hey, we're nosy."
Yeah.
It was so cool.
I wish that worked that way all the time.
Right.
I'm
You know
nosy
what?
about
Mackinac
everything.
Island is the same way.
Is it?
Because one night and it rained and we were stuck at a bar, and we were here.
Stuck quote.
Yeah,
Those are air
stuck
quotes on that.
Yeah, meaning I
Stuck in a
just
bar.
didn't want to go home yet. Anyways, I was talking with a bunch of locals, and they said the first thing they say whenever anybody breaks ground and digs, "How many bones did you find?"
Oh my goodness.
That is the first thing they do. And then they were telling us about all the different hauntings. Like you see at one point, you can see bands of Native Americans going through. And there was this one old house, and the kitchen was like a couple steps below. And so he decided to refurb the kitchen, dug it up, and obviously found bones. And it was an Indian girl because there were like the Indian slippers. So he took one, put it in glass, put it on his mantle. And to this day, you can see her wandering through the house looking for her other slipper or shoe.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
It's a very common story in Mackinac, and the Grand Hotel especially, which is supposed to be haunted in its own right. But when they were building it, they found so many human remains that they stopped counting. They just treated it like it was nothing.
I believe it.
After a while.
That's funny because my husband and I have stayed there numerous times, and yet I never felt comfortable walking down the hall alone, even in the broad daylight. It's just like scurry to the to the stairs as fast as I can.
Oh.
It's beautiful but spooky.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's right.
And Ashley, you are going for haunted tours, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Do those. They're
the
fun.
weekend, the last weekend they're open, the last weekend before Halloween. It's like a weekend long party.
Ball thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
So, and I don't know
Yeah.
all what that entails. I just know I have 2 different costumes and there's bar hopping. But I'm
Amazing.
hoping
Yeah.
I can also venture off and do some of my own little ghost tour. I don't know
Every
if they're
place.
gonna have one. I'm
Oh
not
my gosh,
sure,
there's so
but-
many ghost stories there everywhere.
Yeah, and I don't think
Even Mission
the group
Point.
I'm going with, they don't care about that at all. But I might wander off by myself. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Story about a security guard at the Grand Hotel where he was doing his walkthrough.
Security guard thing.
Yeah, and he got so scared he pooped his pants. Literally had to go home.
Oh my! Did he not know he worked in a haunted hotel?
Right? I love that.
Literally pooped his pants.
I can't even top that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That should be on the application. Like, it's a
Yeah.
haunted hotel. Are you gonna poop your pants?
Yeah.
Are you good with that?
It's funny because you think that, how many people that work in these places don't know
Yeah.
or don't know before they start working there. I talked about the Congress Hotel earlier, and we did stay there the second time we went to Chicago the next year. We went there and we stayed in their most haunted room, which you have to request that room. They won't just book it willy-nilly.
Oh, good.
Good to
Because
know.
I would not request it.
room
I may sleep in the
441.
hotel, but
441.
And so when I was checking in, again, skeptical me, I was like, okay, yeah, I asked for a specific room, but it's very possible they don't even know why I asked for it. Maybe that's where I got engaged. You don't know why I want that room.
right.
I went to check in, and the woman behind the counter was just doing her job. She's like, okay, here's this, and your room number. And she just stopped. And she looked at me, and she slid the key across the counter, and she goes, don't call me because I'm not coming. That was what she said.
Yep.
I wonder
like,
if
okay.
I wonder if the cleaning people fight over who has to clean that room. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? It was the best
think
night
you'd
of
have
sleep I have gotten in
Really?
years. No, absolutely nothing.
Were you by
happened to them.
yourself?
No.
Oh, God.
And my
Okay.
husband and my kids with me.
I was going to say, there's being brave, then there's just being crazy.
So
Yeah.
how does your family feel about the tours and the stuff like that and staying in the most haunted room in the
Yeah.
hotel?
They enjoy it. My oldest, especially, both of my kids are pretty skeptical of a lot of things. I mean, everything, you know,
that's not
religion
bad, though.
and
Well,
everything.
okay.
So
Yeah.
just you have to really prove something to them, and so they both are kind of like, all right, they like the history, but then they both had things happen where they're like, okay, but that's the one thing that I can't explain, or that's one thing I don't understand, and so they really enjoy it.
So when you started your tours, what did your husband say? Was he supportive?
Yeah, he knows I'm crazy. So he's just kind of like,
You were crazy
"Whatever
when he
you want
married
to
you."
do.
Yeah.
Comes with the
Whatever
territory.
you want to do, just do it. And tell me how I can help you. And
How sweet is that?
yeah.
My husband would be like, nope. Not gonna be
Oh
involved.
yeah, yours is scared of even like if you're sitting
Yeah.
there watching a scary movie, he's like,
He won't
out.
even do eye contact with the TV. He'll just walk. Literally.
Eye contact with the
It's I'm
TV.
like, dude, you're raised Catholic. I mean, you get an exorcist if you need it right away.
Big
It's like,
deal, some holy water.
I do have
little
that in my
exorcism.
house, FYI.
You did tell me that, yes.
Yeah.
Have
My
that
daughter
at
and I
the
were watching
ready.
a scary movie and she said something. I'm like, it's all good. I got holy water. We're good to go. If we need it, we got it.
All right, Jen. So if there's one, so we've covered the Lansing area. Is there one place, maybe outside of Michigan even, that you have never been to that you would like to go to
New
tour?
Orleans.
New Orleans. You've never been to New
I
Orleans?
haven't.
Ooh, see,
Yeah. That's
Can I
the
recommend
dream.
another one?
Yes.
Savannah, Georgia.
Yes. I mean, that whole area.
Oh, my-
Yes. The thing is, I'm lazy, so a lot of the a lot of the tours are walking tours. We're going to Orlando in November when all of the tour season is over and the book promotions die down, just to veg out for a week. And I was like, I want to do their ghost tour, and they're all walking tours. I'm like, well, I don't want to walk around for 3 hours.
give me a bus.
Can I get a scooter?
Right?
Yeah. The Segway?
Segways. Yeah.
Or a hover, yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Something.
better.
Oh,
So that's the thing with a lot of them. I mean, most big cities have haunted tours now.
The one in Savannah is fun because you go on a horse and carriage.
Okay.
And they have great stories. They're like, because they have those little parks, little squares everywhere. And the gentleman says almost every building in the city is haunted. He said it's surprising if it's not. And then he was telling about on one ghost tour, they had stopped because he was talking a little bit about a cemetery across the street. And then he was talking about this building right beside them. He's going on and on about the building. All of a sudden he looks and 6 people that were on the buggy were off and they were running away. And he's like, wait, what's going on? And all they did was point at the cemetery. And he looked over and there was a couple strolling arm in arm. You could see right through them
Oh my goodness.
in the cemetery.
That's crazy.
So he took off too.
That's cool.
A little scary, but good.
I am really interested in New Orleans also, just because of which this sounds bad, but like the plantation, just histories of plantation and everything that has happened, and it's awful. But I just know that.
But it's history.
But it's
Yeah.
history and it's our
And I
history,
think-
and
Yep.
it's just,
That's what I like so
It's
much
interesting.
about Jen's tours too. Is there's like a creepy element to
Yeah.
it, but it's the history that you've lived here your whole life. And
Exactly.
you have no idea these things
Yep.
happened on the corner that you've played on.
Yeah.
And
right.
I like to watch people on the tours. It doesn't happen as much now, but especially in the beginning, people would, we'd do a story because it's all very much story driven. And so we do the story and then, okay, get out and here's, you can use these tools to investigate, take some pictures, do this and that. And we get back on the bus and I just see them all Google. I'm like, no, I'm not lying.
I
to
am
you.
not lying.
they're like, hold on, that did not.
That did not.
okay.
Yeah, that is not true. Oh man, that is
Yeah.
true.
See, and that's why Haunted Lansing by Jenn Carpenter. I'm sorry, this is a great read.
Thank
It is
you.
so
Yeah.
fun to read because it's not, I mean, it's spooky, kind of creepy spooky. And yet, like, you put the facts in there, you know, and I, again, never knew half that stuff. And it's like, it's kind of reintroducing me to my community. And then if you don't even live in Michigan, it's still a fun read, you know,
Yeah.
because you're looking for a place to visit. Come to Mid-Michigan.
Right, which who'd have thought,
Exactly.
I had someone ask me recently, how it compares, how mid-Michigan compares to other cities. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't traveled enough, and I haven't really dug into the deep history of every city, but I know that I'm surprised by how much I've been able to find.
Yeah.
Are there tunnels under like MSU East Lansing?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and they do tours there, right?
No.
Oh, no. Don't
They are
Not at all.
They are all under lock and key now, supposedly.
Who
There's a
has
story-
the keys?
Didn't somebody
Hagrid?
He's in the
A
book.
young gentleman.
Dallas Egbert. It's a
Clearly
story in the book.
It is.
That part
It's
It's
a
I
story
haven't
in
got
the
that
book.
far, but I remember when it happened.
Because that was recent, right?
70s.
Yeah.
Okay, then this is somebody else that died.
Yeah.
Was there somebody else that died in like the refrigerator at Brody Hall? Maybe.
Oh my, maybe.
I think you're right.
happened,
Something
like over
happened.
the summer.
Yeah. They were hiding and he hid in something and got
I'm
locked
not
in.
trying to laugh
Yeah.
at his demise,
Yeah.
but
But the kid who died in the 70s, they were doing Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. It's a chapter in the book. I forgot what it's called. I'm going to tell you.
Don't lose my
chapter.
place.
I won't
I
lose
got
you.
my
I
own
forgot
bookmark.
what it's called.
I did.
That's
Because I
okay.
tried to give them all clever names.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I didn't want, a lot of the books, the chapter tells you exactly what it is.
Right.
No, I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
Right.
Read the book.
You have to read it and figure it out. Just
Yeah.
like when we name our podcast, something fun. You have
Exactly.
to listen
Yep.
to figure out why it's so funny.
And it's so fun watching Melanie because certain times when we say something, her eyes light up. I'm thinking, she's thinking that's going to be the title. She's always thinking ahead.
Yeah. What Lies Beneath is the name of the chapter.
I
It's towards the
like
end.
it. Okay, I haven't gotten there yet either. I've only gotten the first few chapters. So
That was so interesting to read about. There's a book called The Dungeon Master, I want to say. Mazes and Monsters.
I played it one
Dungeon
time and I
Master.
can't tell you never again. So
The private investigator hired
Makes
by the
sense.
young man's family to find him.
Egbert's
Yes,
family? Okay.
wrote a book about it. It's referenced in the back.
She keeps taking
I
my book.
knew all these
me
things
this
at one
book.
point in my
oh,
life. I knew
don't
them
let
all.
us forget. We need you to autograph our copies.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
It is called The Dungeon Master, The Disappearance of James Dallas Egbert III by William Deere. He was the private investigator the family hired to find him because the police were not trying. What I found so interesting about that story, and it was all timing based. I was
Yeah.
working on it over the summer, and that whole book is just slamming Michigan State, which I'm go green all the way.
Yes.
Sweet green, for their inaction in trying to protect a child because they were trying to protect the university.
And look
And
how
I was
that
like,
turned around to bite him
man.
in the
and
ass.
it was right during the trial of Larry Nassar.
yeah.
Oh,
Crazy.
man.
the timing of
Yeah,
everything.
the
Wow.
timing was pretty crazy.
So, okay, I haven't read it yet. What ended up happening to him?
He killed himself.
Okay.
Not at the tunnels. It was a whole thing because they had all these theories about, this could have happened and this could have happened.
Right.
And basically all of those things wound up happening in one way or another. He went down there to kill himself. It didn't work. So then he left the tunnels and wound up in the care of some very unsavory characters, and would have wound up a victim of human trafficking, but then he figured it out. So then he just ran away. He wound up in Louisiana. They found him, they brought him home, and almost a year to the day of his disappearance, he shot himself in the head.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's what?
So-
I've never heard of that.
Those were it was, oh, he killed himself. Oh, somebody took him and did something horrible. Oh, he just ran away. And he wound up doing all of those things during the
gosh.
time he was missing.
Oh, my
That poor
God.
kid.
Yeah.
I
And he
cannot
was a
stress-
genius. He was 12 years
He was,
old.
yes.
And was working on the computers for the U.S. Air
Yeah.
Force.
What?
Well, not when he went missing,
Yeah.
but when he was 12 years old, he was repairing computers for the U.S. Air Force. He was a genius.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Holy cow.
Cannot stress enough. Haunted Lansing, Jenn Carpenter.
Yeah.
Get the book. It's
So
amazing.
good.
I have a lot of books to read.
It is
Yeah.
this is a fun read.
Thank
I
you.
haven't been able to put a book down like this in a long time.
Fun and interesting.
In
So
fact, we were getting things together in the kitchen for the podcast. I was standing there reading. It's like, let me just finish. Okay, one more. Let me just do one more page. It's like I couldn't put it down. It's
So
fun.
funny.
So you said you've always been a writer.
Yes.
So, because I find it fascinating and I would love to write something someday. I don't know if I have enough talent, but I would like to learn how to do that one day. I still have a lot of years left. Cross my fingers, hopefully. So how did you start? Just how early on did you start writing?
Always.
As always, yeah.
Always.
Just as a young kid.
Did you start like journaling or something? Or
Yeah, so I was always writing stories. That first chapter, or not even the first chapter, the introduction in the book about my first ghost story. I wrote full length stories about that when I was, 9.
Yeah.
I was the editor of the school paper. I went to Sexton here in Lansing. I worked on the paper at LCC when I went there, and then did the whole mom thing for several years. And then I started a blog when my husband was deployed to Iraq in 2011.
Oh, wow.
And just kind of started writing again and have been writing ever since.
Wow. Do you still have your blog?
Not that one.
Okay. Different.
He's been out of the Army for several years now. So I tried to keep it up. But once you're out of that life, there's really not much to say for much longer.
What did you, so you blogged about being in the military wife and
while he was deployed.
That's not what's the one about your house? You had that blog.
The haunted
several
one?
blogs.
Then I started, I thought like, oh, everybody wants to read everything I write. Not true. I think at one point I had like 5 different blogs, like, and then a realization one day, like, okay, you're
That's
crazy and nobody wants to read every, like, I need one about the military and one about my regular life and one about our haunted house. And it was ridiculous. So yes, there is still one out there. I left the one about the haunted house. It's inactive, but it was our day to day. So it started out being, oh, hey, I moved into this house in the country and I thought we had a real well, like in the fairy tales. Yeah. And oh my gosh, I saw a turkey today. I mean, so boring. But then it very quickly started shifting because the things started happening. Yeah. So there is still that day-to-day blog out there from when we lived in our haunted house.
We have to look
that
up.
Definitely. ASAP. Yeah.
Dude, what's it called?
A Haunting in Grand Ledge.
Oh my gosh!
I read all of it in 1 week.
Did you?
I stopped talking.
Yeah, it's.
See, that's me. If it's good, I binge. I can't stop.
I ended it when we moved, or as we were getting ready to move. But yeah, it's still out there.
So, Dani, were you her realtor when she bought her house?
No.
Oh, I just wondered if that's how you met.
How'd you guys get to know each other?
School.
Yeah, we went to school together.
Oh, you went to Sexton too?
No, but you went to
I went to Everett for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I was a wild
We have
child.
a lot of mutual friends.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
never like ran in the same crowd, actually.
No, we didn't.
Like it's been like more of a recent friendship.
Yes.
She's like my missing soulmate.
Yes, for sure.
Oh,
Isn't
I
that
love
funny?
that.
We really did. We ran in different circles. Like I knew who she was. You know, I could see a picture and be like, "Oh yeah, that's Dani. I know who that is." But I don't know if we even like had a conversation when we went to school together.
No.
But,
Oh,
I think
that's
she's
awesome.
the first person I've talked true crime or ghost with that hasn't given me the "you're super fucking weird" look.
I know that look well.
Oh, that's awesome. Our
then your
friendship's
sons were
amazing.
they were also extras.
My son was an extra in the movie.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Super cute blonde.
all been in the movie.
We are so awesome.
What scene was he in?
The nightclub.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we were there. The one with
you
us.
were there.
We were there.
Super cute young blonde.
That sounds like my
That
son.
would be him.
I would say you guys both have, yeah.
Oh,
I don't
man.
remember.
Oh,
I've
very
met so
cool.
many people.
Yeah.
This has been the best. Oh my God. This is just an amazing.
Right. What were you saying earlier? Can we just chat about that really quick? You said that Dave is writing a new film festival or something, or
No, Detroit has certain film festivals have contests.
right.
And sometimes there's time limits on them. And Detroit is having one where it's 48 hours.
Time limits and
start
then
to finish.
themes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was toying with the idea of doing the 48-hour scary movie one. He's never done a scary.
Yeah.
We did The Door last year. The 1 minute, the 1 minute short.
1 minute.
It was supposed to be.
I jumped for a second.
So, I mean, like, what are you going to do in a minute? I mean, it's a challenge, right? It's meant to be a
It
challenge.
is.
I have lots of ideas for scary because obviously I love scary. That's not Dave's forte. That's why he keeps telling me to write something, which
So good for him to just step out of his comfort
Yeah.
zone.
Sure.
He's- I mean, you guys have all met him.
Yeah.
He takes charge when he's on set. When I met him 12 years ago, introvert, did not, he's just not a social butterfly, I guess. And so to
feel
see
him.
him do this, it is so cool.
I feel him. I stand up in front of, a bus full of people and say, let me just tell you guys right off the bat, I have a humongous fear of public speaking, and also major social anxiety. So let's go.
So here
I
we
do
go.
too. Honestly, I do too.
And people don't believe me, but
It's so cool to see people force themselves to be uncomfortable, because that's
Absolutely.
when you know they should just be respected. 100%.
Yeah.
Whether they are terrible at it or not, dang it, you took that chance, and not everybody will do that.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
100%.
cool.
And if you're not challenging yourself, if you're not feeling a little bit of pain along the way, and pain can mean a lot of different things, then you're not growing. You're not. I mean,
You're boring.
Yes. Yeah.
You're boring.
Well, just like doing this podcast,
Yeah.
you know, all three of us were like, let's do something fun and crazy. And now for Monica, it wasn't the biggest leap because
Yeah, not really, no.
she's in radio. So she's on the radio every single day live. I mean, even on a podcast, we can edit, which I can't imagine even editing 1 second of this one.
No.
Except
done well.
maybe some of the
My
dumb
arm
shit.
I'm a dork for doing Dungeons and Dragons.
Except for now, I just put the microphone right in your mouth when you said that. Cut that out.
you can edit my ums. That's my
Oh,
favorite word.
that's what. Hey, they're all real.
And that's
Yeah.
what I've said
Oh my
before.
God, that's true.
How many ums? Well, no, but Jen, so see, I will edit that out because I was just going to say, what I was going to say was what you were talking about your husband, Dave, Dani, and how he just changed his life. I mean, he still has a day job.
Oh, no. It's drastically changed. He was a claims examiner for insurance. Super bored with his job. It was not his passion. I don't want to say he hated it, but it wasn't his passion.
Right.
And when something's not your passion, it's really hard to get up in the morning and go to work and do it.
Absolutely.
So then he became an auditor. Again, thanks for the pay increase, but it's not my passion, so it's still hard to get up and go. So he decided, I love doing film and movies. I'm going to teach myself. And he taught himself, and they created a job for him. So I'm like, just his story, I'm so blown away. And actually, so we met at Accident Fun. I've always wanted to do real estate. So he inspired me to make that leap.
Go for it.
Because it's so, I mean, you know, you're working for yourself. That's ebbs and flows.
It to me, and probably to you, I can imagine just having known you a little bit, it's more about how many people can we help.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about, and the money will follow. And so I just love helping people. And you're helping them with probably the biggest purchase
I heard
of their
somebody
life.
say the other day, and I stand by this 100%, because we get compared a lot to car salesmen. And they are selling a car to make a profit. Though we get paid for what we do, we are an agent for the client, though. We are looking out for them, not us. So it's very different. And
Well, you helped my family out immensely by selling my grandparents' home. That was a tough thing for us to have to sell them. And you helped us out by being very generous. So we appreciate that. You're very generous.
That
with
was
us.
not about the dollar on that one
No,
either.
that was-
but I
I-
was
I
very
appreciate
happy
that.
to do it.
it really I mean, there's a lot of times where I forfeit money, or I will pay for something from inspection just so that they get the house that they love. And I don't want you to walk away from something that's
Exactly.
minor to me, but it is a deal breaker.
Yeah.
So I'll just go ahead and listen, I'm not going to do that for everybody. I'm not going to do it all the
You
time.
just put that out there.
Right,
Now
I know.
even people in India know that you will do that.
So so we're all kind of pursuing some passions, and John just was like, bam, okay, I'm gonna add this in, and hopefully that could turn into something even more, so you
hope
don't
so.
have to do your full time.
Because I'm killing myself over here.
Yeah.
You know, 4 kids, 4 dogs.
Oh, you do have 4
full-time
kids.
job. Yep, we have 4 boys.
Oh, wow.
I was gonna go. Oh, you've got 4 dogs.
That too.
That's me.
Same.
That's Monica.
Kids,
4 dogs.
you've got dogs and cats. Oh,
Were
that's
they
great.
rescues?
Yes.
Yeah.
3 of them.
Oh, that's so awesome. How many
my
people
good.
have decorated for Halloween at their house?
I started.
Dani has.
She.
A month ago.
That's why I always joke. Every time I go over to their house, it's decorated for a different season, even if it's not a different season. I swear, there's new decorations.
She makes them up.
No, I love it.
She's
OCD
it's
there.
Festivus season.
Fine.
I love it. I like what she's got now. What's going on? So I love
I've
it.
done nothing
What's
yet.
that new one getting ready to start? I keep seeing Wolf Snoot. Have you guys heard of that?
What is it?
Wolf Snoot. It's just this tweet that's going viral. It's a little 7-year-old boy that decided that November 23rd is a holiday called Wolf Snoot, where the spirit of the wolf comes into your house and leaves little presents for everybody People that have dogs or are kind to dogs get better presents. You eat roast meat and make a cake that looks like the full moon, and I am all about it.
Oh, that's cute.
Like,
I
isn't
like
that amazing?
I
And
need
it's
more
like going
information
global.
on this.
It's going
he's
global.
7?
Okay.
He's 7.
7. Oh, we'll have to
Yeah.
celebrate that.
That is so cool.
That?
November
That-
23rd.
But that
Okay.
is Black Friday, and
Yeah, that's
that
true.
is my holiday.
That's true.
I may have to pass on.
I
Little
just
Snoop
saw
this
you post
year.
something on Facebook about that, like how, like Black Friday
Friday?
in preparation or
It's my
whatever.
very favorite
Yeah.
holiday. It's ridiculous.
She's training. She's in training for it already.
We were training this weekend for
yeah,
it.
good. Good to know. Good to know.
Awesome.
Ridiculous.
Well, this has been a very
Beyond
awesome
fun, huh? Oh my
Girlfriends
God.
Happy Hour. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
for having
Oh, this
us.
was fun.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
Jenn Carpenter, who wrote Haunted Lansing. Thank you very much.
You're
Great
welcome.
book.
Where can we get this book? Like someone listening, where could they get it? Can you order online?
You can order it online pretty much anywhere.
Okay.
Like
and then
Amazon and-
Amazon.
Okay.
And all
Okay.
of the online retailers. Barnes and Noble still has it. Schuler still has it. I say still because they keep selling out, which is cool.
Yeah.
When Monica and I went, we almost had a heart attack. We walked in and I'm like, oh, they just posted about it. I'm sure there must be a copy. And the guy
Yeah.
goes, oh, I think we just sold our last one. I'm like,
We were like,
"What?"
no.
And we walked back and he goes, oh, we must have got some more in.
Yeah.
So it just keeps
Yeah.
selling.
Yeah,
That's
and the
fantastic.
publisher has it on back order now, so I don't know how that works around.
That is
here.
fan-
Oh
you
my
may
gosh.
just be able to quit your day job.
Maybe someday.
I'm already thinking for my family, this is going to be a stocking stuffer. Everybody will get one of these. It's
Oh.
so fun to read.
Great. Yes. Great idea.
Super fun. Kind of so fun having guests in the podcast lounge, isn't it?
It is. We love it.
Yeah.
And we just haven't had enough. It's hard
No.
enough to get the three of
Three
us
of us,
together,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
I can't believe we have 5 people in here. Oh, and if you guys had, poor Ashley and Dani had to share a microphone and Ashley was
Wait.
hogging
Fine.
it for the most part. No, I'm just kidding.
No way. What are you talking about? Maybe a little.
So maybe I need a bigger, what do you call it? Thingamajigger with more microphone
That's what it's called.
inputs. It's
Yeah.
called a
Get
thingamajigger.
one on
Thingamajigger.
Black Friday.
See, it all's
Go shopping.
connected.
I think we should. I don't know if we're allowed when we do go on the Mitten Tour. We should, record from that.
Yeah.
We could,
We
do,
could
that.
do that.
We've
Pretty
said
funny.
it's so funny because I was listening back to some of our old podcasts and we're like, oh yeah, we should do that. We're gonna do that. Oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. And I'm like, we haven't done any
No.
of those things.
We drank.
We had a busy summer.
Dani, thank you again for the rum chata.
Thank you very much. And thank you for coming.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank
I'm a
you
huge
both for
fan
coming.
of the podcast. This is
Oh,
fun
We
for
love
thank
that.
you. Yay, we love
Dani's
it.
the best fan to have.
Oh,
Is, see?
I think
And
and
then
then
we-
might be a stalker. Though.
Yeah.
I mean, am I a fan?
And then
/stalker.
And then with Jen, we have writing royalty. So this has been just an amazing day.
Yes.
Totally fan geeked. I mean, I'm like, hope I didn't embarrass myself, but I'm like, this is the
You
best
did
part.
fan geek. That was
I
awesome.
don't do that very often,
Well, we
do
all
I?
did, but Monica kind of took the lead on the
Totally
geeking.
fan geeked, yeah. So
it.
thank you for being nice about it
Yeah.
because totally a geek about it. I mean,
love
I
it.
love your stuff. So
Thank you.
Thank
Yay,
you so
you-
much. And we'd love to hear from you guys. You can email us to girlfriendshappyhour@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your stories.
yes.
Yes, send us your stories.
Send 'em. It's kind of my scary Halloween voice. Now I broke my voice.
That's fine.
Well, and until next time, everyone, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
There's always a seat at the bar for you.
Yes, there is.
All right.
Cheers.
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 Cheers.